Imagine waking up to the sound of an alarm, your eyes barely open, your mind already racing. The world outside is demanding your attention, with messages, to-dos, and distractions piling up before you've even had a chance to fully open your eyes. You reach for your phone, scroll through a few notifications, maybe check the news, or get lost in social media for a few minutes. It's only after all this noise that you finally drag yourself out of bed, feeling rushed, already behind, and maybe even a little stressed. Sound familiar? Now, contrast this with the mornings of ancient Stoics. Think of Marcus Aurelius, waking up with purpose, grounded in the knowledge that the day ahead would bring challenges. Instead of rushing into the chaos of the modern world, he would first prepare his mind for whatever was to come. Epictetus, too, would begin his day with a moment of reflection, centering himself in the midst of all the noise, focused on what truly mattered. Their mornings were not about frantic activity or chasing external distractions, but about inner calm, reflection, and preparing for the obstacles of the day. So, what can we learn from their mornings that can transform our own? How did these ancient philosophers face the day with such clarity and purpose, while modern routines often leave us feeling overwhelmed and scattered? And more importantly, how can we start applying these principles to our own mornings so we can face the day with the same resilience, focus, and intentionality that the Stoics did? In this video, we're going to explore the Stoic morning routine and why it's so different from the fast-paced, distracted routines we're used to today. We'll dive into how the Stoics approached their mornings and how we can take these age-old practices and apply them to our own lives. By the end, you'll have a new perspective on your mornings, one that will help you create a foundation of calm and purpose that will carry you through the entire day. So, let's step back from the whirlwind of modern life for a moment and take a deep dive into the wisdom of the Stoics. What if your mornings weren't filled with stress and distraction? What if you could start your day with calm, clarity, and purpose? Let's explore that possibility together. Let's first take a step back and understand what Stoicism really is and why it matters for how we approach our mornings. Stoicism, at its core, is a philosophy that teaches us to live in harmony with nature, to understand what is in our control, and to focus on cultivating inner virtue rather than being at the mercy of external circumstances. It's a framework for living life with clarity, resilience, and grace. But what does this have to do with our mornings? Everything, actually. The Stoics didn't just meditate on grand philosophical ideas, they practiced them in their everyday lives, and they understood that how you begin your day can set the tone for everything that follows. A Stoic morning is not just about waking up, it's about waking up with intention. It's about preparing yourself mentally for whatever challenges the day may bring, focusing on what you can control and aligning your actions with your deeper values. In today's world, our mornings often look nothing like that. Instead of waking up with purpose, many of us wake up with a sense of urgency, diving into the day before we've even had a chance to breathe. The alarm rings, we check our phones, we're bombarded with information, and we rush to get ready. It's as if the world is pushing us into the day, and we feel like we're constantly playing catch-up. But here's the thing. This way of starting the day doesn't serve us. It leaves us anxious, distracted, and reactive. The Stoic approach to mornings offers something radically different. Instead of starting the day in chaos, they would begin with reflection, mindfulness, and intentionality. For them, the morning was a time to prepare the mind for what was to come. It was a moment to center themselves, to focus on what was truly important, and to remind themselves of their values. And this wasn't just some abstract idea, they lived it out. They knew that how they started the day could shape how they responded to life's challenges. It's about setting the foundation for mental clarity, emotional resilience, and a sense of purpose that would carry them through whatever came their way. Now, let's break this down a little further. One of the fundamental teachings of Stoicism is the dichotomy of control. This is the idea that there are two types of things in life: those that are within our control and those that are not. The Stoics believed that we should focus only on what we can control, our own thoughts, actions, and attitudes, and accept that everything else is outside of our influence. This might sound simple, but it's incredibly powerful when you apply it to your morning routine. Think about how much of your morning is filled with things that are beyond your control. You can't control the traffic, the weather, or how people will respond to you throughout the day. And yet, many of us waste a significant portion of our mornings reacting to these things, letting them dictate how we feel. But the Stoics had a different approach. They would wake up, acknowledge that there would be challenges ahead, and remind themselves that these challenges were not obstacles to avoid, but opportunities to practice virtue. Whether it was dealing with difficult people, unexpected setbacks, or physical discomfort, the Stoics understood that the key to a good morning and a good life was not to avoid these challenges, but to approach them with a mindset of acceptance and resilience. So, how does this play out in a modern context? Well, it's all about mindset. Instead of waking up and letting external circumstances immediately shape your day, the Stoic approach is to start with internal preparation. The first thing you do in the morning should be to center yourself. Take a moment to breathe deeply, acknowledge what is within your control, and set your intentions for the day. By doing this, you're training yourself to be more present, more focused, and more resilient to whatever challenges may arise. When you wake up and immediately start reacting to everything around you, checking your phone, getting lost in the noise of social media, or feeling overwhelmed by the sheer amount of things to do, you're allowing external forces to dictate your mood and mindset. The Stoics, however, would have advised against this. Instead, they would have suggested that you take a few moments to focus inward, to acknowledge that the day ahead might bring discomfort or difficulties, and to remind yourself that your response to those challenges is entirely in your hands. It's a shift from being a passive participant in your day to being an active creator of your experience. Now, let's dive into what it really means to focus on what we can control. The Stoics were masters of this. They understood that the only true power we have in life is over our own thoughts, feelings, and actions. Everything else, whether it's the actions of others, the state of the world, or even our circumstances, are beyond our control. This doesn't mean we should be passive or resigned. Quite the opposite. It means that we should focus our energy on what we can influence and let go of the rest. When it comes to your mornings, this idea is incredibly powerful. Think about how much energy you spend worrying about things you can't control. Maybe you're anxious about something that might happen during the day, or you're stressed about things outside your immediate sphere of influence. But the Stoics would tell you that these are distractions, mental clutter that only takes away from your ability to act with clarity and purpose. By applying the Stoic principle of control, you can start your day with a sense of calm and focus. You wake up, acknowledge that there are things you can't control, and then consciously choose to focus on what you can control: your thoughts, your reactions, your actions. This simple shift in mindset can make all the difference in how you experience the day ahead. To really make this work, it's important to begin your mornings by actively deciding what is within your control. You can't control how the day will unfold, but you can control how you show up to it. You can control the attitude you bring to your tasks, the energy you put into your work, and the kindness you extend to others. And most importantly, you can control how you respond to any challenges that arise. When you start your day with this mindset, you set the stage for a more peaceful, purposeful, and empowered life. It's the difference between being at the mercy of external forces and taking charge of your own destiny. So, as you start thinking about your own morning routine, ask yourself, what can I control today? What's within my power to change? And how can I approach this day with a mindset of calm, clarity, and resilience? These are the questions that can transform your mornings and, by extension, your life. And as we move forward, we'll explore how exactly you can implement these Stoic principles into your daily routine, starting with the very first moments of the day. Now that we've discussed the importance of starting the day with intention and focusing on what we can control, let's dive into what a Stoic morning routine might actually look like. The Stoics weren't just theorists, they were practitioners. They understood that the philosophy needed to be lived, not just studied. And one of the first steps in living Stoicism is building a morning routine that sets the tone for the entire day. The first practice we'll explore is one that might seem simple, but is profoundly impactful. Rising early. The Stoics understood the power of the morning. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, would rise early to begin his day with a moment of solitude and reflection. Waking up early isn't just about having more hours in the day, it's about starting your day with a sense of purpose. The Stoics valued time, and they understood that the way you begin your day can either propel you forward or set you back. By waking up early, you allow yourself space and time before the world rushes in. You have a moment to center yourself, to breathe deeply, and to set your intentions for the day. This is an opportunity to gain mental clarity before you're bombarded by external demands. It's a time to reflect on what's truly important, to remind yourself of your values, and to mentally prepare for any challenges you may face. But here's the thing. In today's world, waking up early often feels like a luxury we can't afford. We're told we need to be productive from the moment we open our eyes, and the pressure to hit the ground running can be overwhelming. But the Stoics weren't about frantic productivity, they were about intentionality. Waking up early doesn't mean you have to dive straight into a list of tasks. It's about carving out time for yourself to mentally prepare for the day, to be present, and to choose how you want to show up. If waking up early feels challenging, start small. Don't aim to suddenly wake up at 5 a.m. if that feels unrealistic for your current lifestyle. Start by setting your alarm 15 minutes earlier than usual and use that time to breathe, reflect, or simply sit in silence. Over time, you'll begin to notice the benefits of having that quiet time in the morning to ground yourself before the chaos of the day begins. The second practice is something many people overlook: journaling. For the Stoics, journaling wasn't just a hobby, it was an essential tool for self-reflection and growth. Marcus Aurelius, in particular, is famous for his personal writings, which later became known as meditations. These writings weren't meant for anyone else. They were his way of working through his thoughts, keeping himself grounded and reminding himself of what mattered most. Journaling in the morning can be a powerful way to start your day with clarity and focus. It doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. Simply take a few minutes to write down your thoughts, your intentions for the day, and anything that's on your mind. You might choose to reflect on something you're grateful for or a challenge you're currently facing. The key is to use this time to center yourself, to get clear on your priorities, and to reflect on how you want to approach the day ahead. Writing down your thoughts can also help you let go of any mental clutter. If there's something that's been bothering you, putting it on paper can give you the space to process it rather than carrying it with you throughout the day. This act of journaling serves as a mental decluttering exercise, giving you more room to focus on what truly matters. Another Stoic practice that may seem simple but has a profound impact is embracing discomfort. The Stoics believed in the power of facing hardship head-on rather than avoiding it. This is why they would often intentionally put themselves in situations that were uncomfortable, whether it was through physical exercise, cold baths, or other challenges. For the Stoics, discomfort wasn't something to be feared or avoided. It was something to be embraced as a way to build resilience. In the morning, this could take the form of something as simple as taking a cold shower or engaging in a challenging physical exercise. It doesn't have to be extreme, but the idea is to start your day with something that stretches you, that forces you to confront discomfort. Why? Because by doing so, you're setting yourself up to handle the challenges of the day with greater resilience. You're reminding yourself that discomfort is temporary and that you have the strength to face it head-on. This practice is powerful because it changes the way you view challenges. Instead of seeing them as obstacles to avoid, you begin to see them as opportunities for growth. The Stoics didn't shy away from difficulty. They leaned into it, knowing that each challenge they faced was an opportunity to strengthen their character. By starting your day with a small dose of discomfort, you build the mental toughness needed to handle the bigger challenges that will come throughout the day. Lastly, let's talk about focusing on what you can control. The Stoics knew that much of life is outside of our control, other people's actions, the weather, the economy. But the one thing we can always control is our own response. This is where the true power of Stoicism lies, in the ability to choose how we react to the world around us. In your morning routine, this means being mindful of your thoughts and actions. Before you start your day, take a moment to check in with yourself. How are you feeling? What thoughts are running through your mind? Are they helpful, or are they filled with stress and worry? The Stoics believed in the power of conscious thinking, in choosing not to be slaves to our emotions, but to respond thoughtfully and deliberately. When you wake up, instead of immediately diving into your to-do list or checking your phone, take a few moments to remind yourself of what is within your control. You can control how you approach your tasks, how you interact with others, and how you respond to the inevitable setbacks that will come your way. By focusing on what you can control, you set yourself up for a day of calm and clarity rather than stress and reactivity. Now let's take a deeper look at the Stoic virtues and how they can shape your morning routine. The Stoics believed that the pursuit of virtue was the ultimate goal of life. Virtue for the Stoics wasn't just about doing good things for others, it was about developing inner strength and wisdom. There are 4 main Stoic virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Each one of these virtues has a place in your morning routine, and when practiced consistently, they can transform not only your mornings, but your entire life. The first virtue we'll talk about is wisdom. Wisdom, in Stoic terms, is the ability to see the world clearly and make good decisions based on that understanding. In your morning routine, practicing wisdom means taking a moment to reflect on what truly matters to you and aligning your actions with your deeper values. Before you dive into your day, ask yourself, what's the most important thing I can do today? What aligns with my long-term goals and values? By practicing wisdom, you begin your day with clarity and you set yourself up to make decisions that are in alignment with who you truly are. The second virtue is courage. Courage isn't just about physical bravery, it's about facing the challenges of life head-on, even when they're uncomfortable or intimidating. In the morning, this could mean doing something that pushes you out of your comfort zone, whether it's taking on a difficult task, engaging in a challenging workout, or simply facing the day with a positive mindset, despite any challenges that may arise. The Stoics believed that courage was key to living a virtuous life, and it's essential for overcoming obstacles and achieving personal growth. Justice, the third Stoic virtue, is about living in harmony with others and acting in ways that are fair and honorable. In your morning routine, this might look like taking a moment to consider how you can serve others today. It could be as simple as being patient with your family members, or as significant as taking time to contribute to a cause you care about. The Stoics believed that living justly wasn't just about big gestures. It was about daily, small acts of kindness and fairness. Finally, there's temperance. Temperance is the virtue of moderation. It's about finding balance in all things and avoiding excess. In the morning, this might mean resisting the urge to check your phone first thing or not indulging in unhealthy habits. Instead, you focus on starting your day in a way that promotes balance through mindful eating, exercise, and focused work. Temperance teaches you that true fulfillment doesn't come from excess, but from moderation and self-control. By practicing temperance, you start your day with a sense of balance, which sets the stage for a more peaceful, centered life. When you weave these virtues into your morning routine, you're setting yourself up for a day of integrity, strength, and purpose. Each morning becomes an opportunity to practice these virtues, to grow stronger in your character, and to live in alignment with your highest values. And that's what Stoicism is all about: living with intention, facing challenges with courage, and cultivating a life of wisdom and virtue. As we move forward into the practical side of how Stoicism can shape your mornings, let's explore how the Stoic principles can help you handle the inevitable stress and distractions that arise, even first thing in the morning. We all know that the world has a way of throwing curveballs our way, and no matter how much we plan or prepare, challenges will come. What matters is how we respond to them. Take, for instance, the common stress of waking up late or realizing that the day ahead is already stacked with problems. In today's world, these moments can often send us into a tailspin, making us feel like we're already behind before the day even starts. But the Stoics had a very different perspective. They knew that life was unpredictable, that things wouldn't always go as planned, and that the real test was not in avoiding challenges, but in how we face them. When stress strikes, it's easy to get lost in our emotional reactions. But the Stoics, particularly Epictetus, taught that we should train ourselves to step back and assess the situation rationally. If something goes wrong, whether it's waking up late, a traffic jam, or an unexpected problem at work, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what's in my control here? The answer almost always is your response. You can't control the fact that you're late, but you can control how you handle it. Do you choose frustration or do you choose calm? Do you spiral into anxiety or do you take the situation in stride and make the best of it? This ability to step back and gain perspective is at the heart of Stoic practice. When you face stress, you don't let it define your day. Instead, you take control of your mindset. A Stoic morning doesn't mean a stress-free morning. It means a morning where you accept that stress is part of life, and you choose not to let it overwhelm you. You stay centered, and you handle whatever comes with the calm assurance that your response is what matters most. Let's also look at the modern-day challenge of constant distraction, particularly when it comes to social media and technology. How often do you wake up, check your phone, and find yourself immediately lost in a sea of notifications? Maybe it's the news, or maybe it's an endless scroll through social media, but before you know it, your mind is flooded with information, most of which you don't need to deal with right at that moment. For the Stoics, external distractions like these were a form of mental clutter, something that pulled them away from their true purpose. Marcus Aurelius, for example, would remind himself to focus on what mattered and to avoid being drawn into things that didn't serve him. He understood that the quality of his day depended not on what was happening outside of him, but on his ability to stay grounded and focused on his own thoughts and actions. This is something we can all apply to our mornings. The next time you wake up, instead of reaching for your phone, take a moment to be fully present. Take a few deep breaths, set your intentions for the day, and only then engage with external distractions. The Stoics knew that how you begin your day shapes the rest of it. And if you start by allowing your mind to be pulled in 1,000 directions, you're setting yourself up for a day of reactive living rather than intentional living. Another thing that can be a source of morning stress is dealing with negative emotions. Whether it's frustration over something that happened yesterday or anxiety about what's to come, negative emotions can often cloud our minds from the very beginning of the day. The Stoics, however, were masters of emotional regulation. They understood that emotions, though natural, don't have to control us. Instead of allowing negative feelings to take over, they would use techniques like reframing, looking at a situation from a different angle, or practicing cognitive distancing, where you separate yourself from your emotional reactions. For example, if you wake up feeling anxious about a meeting or an upcoming task, a Stoic approach would be to acknowledge that anxiety without letting it dictate your actions. You might remind yourself that feeling anxious is a natural response, but it doesn't have to control you. Instead, you can choose to focus on what you can do to prepare and respond to the situation effectively. This practice of emotional detachment is not about suppressing emotions, but rather about giving yourself the space to feel them without letting them dictate your behavior. It's important to remember that Stoicism isn't about avoiding emotions, it's about developing the ability to handle them with grace. So, when negative emotions arise in the morning, don't judge yourself for having them. Instead, acknowledge them, process them, and then move forward with a calm and focused mind. This practice of emotional regulation doesn't just serve you in the morning, it serves you throughout your entire day, allowing you to approach challenges with a level head and a clear heart. Now let's talk about how to take these Stoic practices beyond your morning routine and into the rest of your day. The Stoic approach to life isn't about compartmentalizing your philosophy into just one part of your day. It's about integrating it into every aspect of your life. After all, Stoicism is a way of life, not just a set of morning rituals. The real test of your Stoic practice comes after you leave the calm of your morning routine and step into the world. Your Stoic morning sets the foundation, but how you carry that mindset into the rest of your day is what truly matters. The Stoics would spend the rest of their day practicing mindfulness, reflecting on their actions, and constantly reminding themselves of what was truly important. The same virtues they cultivated in the morning, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, would guide them throughout the day. One of the most powerful aspects of Stoicism is its focus on presence. Being present in the moment, whether you're working, interacting with others, or facing a challenge, is essential to living a meaningful life. In the morning, you've already set the stage for this by grounding yourself in your values and intentions. But as the day unfolds, the true test is whether you can maintain that presence even in the face of distraction, difficulty, or frustration. To do this, the Stoics practiced constant self-reflection. This didn't mean obsessing over every little action, but rather taking time throughout the day to check in with themselves. Am I living according to my values? Am I staying true to my intentions? These are the kinds of questions that can help you stay grounded and focused, no matter what the day throws your way. The Stoics would often reflect at the end of the day, assessing how they had handled challenges, where they had fallen short, and what they could do better tomorrow. Incorporating this practice of self-reflection into your day doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to have long, drawn-out journaling sessions in the middle of your workday. Instead, take a few moments, perhaps during a break or while walking, just to check in with yourself. How are you feeling? What's going well? What could you improve? This simple practice of reflection can help you stay on track, adjust your course when necessary, and live in alignment with your Stoic principles. Finally, remember that the Stoics believed that life isn't about perfection, it's about progress. They weren't striving to be flawless, they were striving to be better. And that's something we can all embrace. Each day, with each decision, we have the opportunity to get a little closer to the person we want to be. It's not about achieving perfection in a single morning routine or conquering every challenge without fail. It's about consistency, showing up, and making small improvements every day. Building a Stoic life isn't about grand gestures, it's about the small, consistent actions that over time create a life of virtue, resilience, and peace. By integrating Stoic practices into your mornings, you're laying the foundation for a life that's not just reactive or driven by external circumstances. You're creating a life that's intentional, grounded, and aligned with your deepest values. And that's a life worth living, no matter what challenges come your way. As we come to the end of this exploration into Stoic mornings, it's important to remember that this isn't just about changing how you wake up, it's about changing how you approach your entire day, how you respond to the world around you, and how you cultivate inner peace and purpose. A Stoic morning doesn't promise that the day will be free of challenges, but it sets you up to meet those challenges with clarity, resilience, and wisdom. The Stoics understood that how we start our day can shape how we move through the world. They didn't just wake up early or journal for the sake of it. They used these practices to prepare themselves mentally, to remind themselves of what they could control, and to align their actions with their deepest values. And this is something we can all apply in our own lives. When you wake up with intention, when you start your day by focusing on what is within your control, when you take time to reflect and prepare yourself for the challenges ahead, you are giving yourself a gift. You're setting the tone for the rest of the day, and you're empowering yourself to approach whatever comes your way with strength and focus. You're not allowing the chaos of the world to dictate your mood or actions. Instead, you're choosing to act with purpose and intention, guided by the virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. I know that it can feel like a tall order to make these changes, especially in the world we live in today, where distractions are constant and the pressure to perform is high. But the beauty of Stoicism is that it doesn't require perfection, it only requires consistency. It's not about doing everything right, it's about showing up, even on the tough days, and doing the best you can in each moment. If you can take just a few of these practices and begin to weave them into your mornings, you'll start to see a shift, not just in how you wake up, but in how you live. So I encourage you to experiment with these Stoic practices in your own mornings. Start small. Maybe it's waking up 15 minutes earlier to breathe deeply and set your intentions. Maybe it's taking a few minutes to journal your thoughts or embrace a bit of discomfort through exercise or cold water. Whatever it is, begin with one step and let it grow from there. The goal isn't to follow a perfect routine, it's to create a routine that works for you, that grounds you, and that allows you to approach each day with a sense of control and purpose. The Stoics didn't claim to have all the answers, but they did know that a life well lived is one of constant reflection, continual growth, and unshakable calm in the face of adversity. If we can start each day by reflecting on these principles, by reminding ourselves of what we can control, and by choosing to live intentionally, we can find that same peace, that same strength, that same resilience, no matter what the day brings. So, take a moment tomorrow morning. Before the world rushes in, before you get lost in the distractions, remember that you have the power to choose how you begin your day. You can choose to be reactive, swept away by the tide of external demands, or you can choose to start with intention, clarity, and a deep sense of purpose. The Stoics showed us that the way we start our day can shape the life we lead. And by embracing these simple but profound practices, you can create a morning routine that not only helps you face the challenges of the day, but that transforms how you live, one small step at a time. So as you wake up tomorrow, remember, this is your time to ground yourself, to prepare for whatever life may throw at you, and to live with purpose. Embrace the Stoic morning and let it guide you through the rest of your day and ultimately the rest of your life.